All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all, let's talk Amanda Nunes here real quick. A few people asked me about Amanda Nunes and her recent, decision to leave ATT. And I just saw the presser, that was from a few days ago with, both coaches for the new Tough House, which comes out May 3rd, Tough 30. Yeah, Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes are the coaches, as y'all know. And, of course, they asked the big question to Amanda Nunes, why is she leaving ATT? And she basically broke it down. She basically broke it down that it's not about having bad blood or beef with ATT at this point. It's just about her having her own private space and her, her gym workouts and her training to be a little bit more personal. That's kind of what she was getting at. She said she was at that point now in her career to make that choice, and I'll give you my thoughts on that in a minute. I just want to read through this interview here real quick because some people asked me about it. But this is what she said at the recent interview. She said, actually, I've always wanted to open a private space or private spot. I never said I'm going to open a gym to compete against ATT. That never came out of my mouth. I've always wanted to have a little private space for me because even at ATT, I always did things separated. I had my time to go and I had my coaches there waiting for me to help me with my camp. It was always like that. And she also said it was always in my head that one day I want to have my own space. I want to see all my teachings on the wall. I guess she means accomplishments. Put up my logo, all those things that a lot of fighters want to do at some point in their career. I feel like this is a moment for me. I want to go on my own for a little bit. ATT, together we did an amazing job, all the coaches, the gym. I feel like I deserve to do what I want to do. It's nothing to do with the gym. Actually, we're still good. I can still walk in the gym and train whenever I want. I didn't close the door because nothing happened. I did it my way, but we did a lot of things together. We made history together. So, yeah, as y'all know, she's been with ATT for 8 years. After that Kat Zingano loss, she made the switch over to ATT. And, they pretty much linked up and did wonders for her. The chemistry was well. They put her on a nice dominant streak. She's pretty much been running things, right? But, again, after this big loss about a month or so ago now to Juliana Pena, she wants to make that change again. And my thoughts on her, switching up gyms and opening up a private space, I think that's a good idea. I think that really is a good idea for her at this point because, she already made the point, training at ATT. Yeah, she's getting special treatment because she's a champion, but it's still you have to wait. She's separated and, she still has to wait for trainers and coaches and things like that to be focused on her. But if she can open up her own private space, it's she can take it in her own hands and have control. Not necessarily have yes men or, call the shots and make herself comfortable again. But it's still a good time for her to just kind of have her own personal space where she can take her trainers and take her team and, they can give her that personal time that she needs whenever she needs it, right? It can just be focused on her, and I think a lot of fighters need to invest in that, especially ones that are champions. There comes a point when you're with the gym for so long, 7, 8 years, and you will get comfortable. And that's the problem with Amanda Nunes. Like I said, that's one of the reasons I felt like she lost. She started to get comfortable. Like I always say, being comfortable is a dangerous thing in the game. Being comfortable, is telling you that you don't need to do certain things anymore or that you are the best or that you hit a plateau where you need to just stay where you're at and you're good. It makes you feel like you're invincible almost. Like I always say, these champions, they ain't invincible. It's always the hard work that keeps things looking easy. So for Amanda Nunes, it is time for her to step out of the box because 8 years with the gym, that could do no wrong. You go on an undefeated streak with that gym, haven't lost for 8 years. You are going to kind of kick your feet up at a point because everything they're showing, you feel like that's going to work against every single opponent, right? But then you have somebody off to the left like Juliana Pena that's figuring you out or already has basically a style that can kind of nullify you, plus the mindset that you don't have anymore because you're kind of relaxed. They're building something that's just going to totally shut you down. So there's always somebody out there that can beat you, and I think for Amanda Nunes at this point as a champion, with the blueprint out there, even out there 8 years ago, you always have to prepare and always have to fight uncomfortable, and I think that's why it's a good idea for her to go off on her own and just have her own personal space. And it's good that it's not another public gym because like she said, she's not trying to compete with ATT because I think if she did that, then it would just be more like noise everywhere. It would be just more cooks in there trying to stir the pot and, you just come out with a mess, right? So it's good that, she's going off to be a little bit more personal and, more secluded in her own gym and her own team to train her on her own, right? And I think this will kind of, the tough house, I think that'll kind of give her like an eye opener, to how things run, just kind of even like working with her own team. I know it's different because she's on the opposite side, but she can kind of see just how it is if you can get personal with a few people there, that you click up with. And I think it'll kind of open up her eyes again to see some of these hungry fighters out there. As y'all know, this is going to be half heavyweights and half flyweights. And maybe working with some of these women in this tough house is going to kind of open her eyes up to kind of see, okay, this is how I used to be, right? Because one of the things I was just thinking about last night after kind of going through some of the things, Amanda Nunes said about why she wanted to switch. I think it's a good idea. Another reason I feel like it's a good idea is because it's going to, in a way, it's going to humble her. It's going to take her out of the comfort zone. It's going to kind of humble her again because she's going to have to look in that mirror, which I think she's already did this. She's already kind of looked in the mirror and said, this is what I got to improve on. This is where I started to kind of slack off at. And this is where I started, to get a little overconfident in, right? So I think that it was always a point where she was going to switch gyms, like she said, or, open up her own private space. And she probably wanted to do it before this type of loss. But now she probably said, yo, I got to do it now. I got to react right now, because after taking this L and I just continue to go through the motions and stay with ATT, there comes a point where she might try to play the blame game again. Like if she loses the rematch, they might play the blame game, which she really didn't do with the gym here. That's why I can't give her credit, because she did make excuses, but it was all on her. She wasn't the type of fighter to say it was the gym's fault. Like, oh, this person and these people didn't have enough time for me, or, they didn't listen to the things I want to implement in my game plan. It wasn't like that. It was all about her, whether it was the knee injury or the C19 issue. She never really just straight up said it was like the trainers, and that's why she said it ain't no bad blood with them. She can still train there, but I think it just came to a point where she said, yo, I gotta do me now, and it's got to be on her own terms, right? And I think that makes sense. As long as she doesn't have any yes men or people that's not gonna, people, as long as she doesn't have any people that's not gonna sugarcoat it, she should be good, because I think it just all comes down to her taking herself out of the comfort zone. That's what it is, and just kind of refining that hunger. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Like I said, I think it's a good idea, especially if it is a private space that she's training, just her own private gym. I think a lot of fighters need to invest in that, even with boxing. I'd be looking at these fighters that be BS and spending their money on, these cars and chains. Shoot, invest in yourself, man. Shoot, Deontay Wilder, opened up the gym and recovery center in his home. And that's what a lot of these fighters out here need to do, so they can't make these excuses like, oh, the gym didn't have enough time for me. My trainers ain't having enough time for me. No, open up your own gym and get them trainers that you need in your team, in your house, whenever you need them, right? So, yeah, let me know, guys, what y'all think. Combo Breaker 99, I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.